we're going to do a quick update on Lugano, where it is in 2024, what achievements they've hit, what milestones they've made. And to do that, we need, of course, the mayor. He's actually the crypto mayor on Telegram. So please give it up for Michele Folletti. Welcome to the stage, Michele. Welcome.
Ciao, Joe.
If you could sit in this one.
Thank you.
Followed by Pietro Porretti, the head of the Lugano Economic Division here. Come on down, Pietro. Morning. How are you? And of course, our very own Paolo Arduino, CEO of Tether, CTO of Bitfinex, and CSO of Hole Punch. Welcome. Yeah, give it up, Paolo. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me this morning. How are you doing? Firstly, Michele, how is your English nowadays? Can you hear me?
Little bit better, but not more.
I noticed this morning when we greeted each other, you said, hello, how are you? And I was like, brilliant. His English has really come a long way. Sadly, my Italian is, not to be taken inspiration from. Yeah, the purpose of this panel, as mentioned, is to bring the audience up to speed with what's going on in Lugano in 2024. I've been really impressed by the number of merchants, the ease of use with which people are using Bitcoin here. But I want to hear some details, some statistics, and some insight from the people that are behind the scenes in the public sector, and of course, Tether being on the private sector. So to kick it all off, Michele, how are you experiencing, or how has it been for you as the crypto mayor, as you're called on Telegram?
Ma credo che da 3 anni fa, quando abbiamo lanciato, era il 3 marzo, il Plan B è cambiato il mondo. Ieri sera ero stato invitato da una banca che presentava ai suoi investitori e agli investitori istituzionali gli asset digitali e hanno parlato per mezz'ora di Bitcoin. Allora, se me l'avessero detto 3 anni fa, non ci avrei mai creduto. Quindi Plan B ha portato anche maggior consapevolezza anche in tutto il mondo finanziario dell'importanza di Bitcoin e degli asset digitali, e credo che quando 3 anni fa avevamo detto che avremmo voluto essere un ponte tra finanza tradizionale e nuova finanza, credo che iniziamo a raccogliere i frutti e posso dire che ci stiamo riuscendo.
Interesting. And I mean, my Italian is not amazing, so I'm following half of this. But I know that recently you went a little bit viral on social media for a meme, or in Italian you call it a meme, right?
Yes.
Which I'm hoping we can get on the screen right now. Can we roll the meme, please? Here it is. So, the Italian speakers in the room will understand this immediately. Would you be able to translate it for the English speakers? Or maybe Pietro could.
Pietro is better.
Well, it says that, well, it refers, of course, to the announcement made by, I believe, Italian politicians or Italian government only a few days ago. This is very recent, that they foresee in 2025 an increase, a significant increase, a doubling of the value gain tax on crypto assets, including Bitcoin. And the mayor seized this opportunity to highlight that in Switzerland, including in Lugano, there is no such thing, at least for private investors.
Round of applause for that, surely. Could we maybe get a sense of how many Italians are in the room today? Could you raise your hand if you are Italian? Ooh, what's that? Is that a quarter of the room, a third of the room, something like that? And are you, if you're Swiss, could you raise your hand as well? Probably a few more Swiss.
Lucky people.
Say again?
Lucky people.
Lucky, yeah, lucky people. Yeah, lucky you guys, exactly. Okay. So why make this meme? What's the point?
I think that, I'm Italian, right? I'm very Italian. Like, if you hear my accent, you can understand. And the thing that the sadness that we have as Italians is that the fact that Lugano doesn't, or Switzerland doesn't impose this tax shouldn't be the exception, should be the normality. The crazy thing is that in Italy, if you want to buy Bitcoin through an exchange and custody it and then sell it to purchase a house or whatever, a car, you will have to pay 42% of taxes. But if you buy the Bitcoin through the bank, then you pay 26%. So to me, is not actually a tax on speculation. as some define it, is not a tax on popularity of the product. I mean, lotto and the public, betting is taxed at 20%, like not 42%. So to me, it's a tax on freedom, because it means that they want, it seems like the government wants to ensure that they can keep control of the Bitcoins because you are investing in ETF and you don't do self-custody. So that, this is a disincentivation of holding Bitcoin on your private wallet or even on exchange for, it's not ideal still, but even on exchange. So you cannot be independent. So it's a tax against independence, it's a tax against freedom. So it's very sad because, Italy and Europe were the cradle of liberties, of humanity, of democracy, and feels like things are going a little bit downhill.
Yeah, it was shocking reading just how high it is, and it's a way of soft banning Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
If you raise the capital gain tax high enough, then in a way you're kind of banning it. But I didn't know that element that if you buy Bitcoin through is it just a bank or any sort of financial service?
If you buy the ETF, you are taxed 26%. But if you hold Bitcoin, then suddenly you are a bad person.
Cheeky, yeah, yeah. Okay, that is. I mean, how did you guys react to this? Did that mean that your phone was ringing non-stop with Italians looking to move to somewhere like Lugano?
Non solo persone che chiedono informazioni, ma soprattutto tanto interesse da parte dei media italiani sul fatto che la Svizzera soprattutto incentiva le nuove tecnologie e non le reprime, permette alle persone di vivere liberamente, di fare ciò che vuole coi propri soldi, coi propri capitali, senza obbligare qualcuno a dover seguire delle regole. Un paese liberale deve comportarsi così. Noi in Svizzera andremo a votare prossimamente per inserire nella Costituzione l'uso perpetuo del denaro contante. Ci sono paesi che vogliono eliminare completamente il denaro contante. Io credo che una delle cose belle di fare il sindaco a Lugano è che viviamo in un paese liberale dove le persone sono libere di comportarsi e di scegliere come spendere i propri soldi senza controllo da parte di un'autorità.
Got it. I think I got most of that. But the bit I wanted to jump in there was with the interest from Italian media. So if Italian media are now sort of coming more and more to Lugano, and we saw this yesterday, there was an Italian Sole 24 and a few other mainstream sort of finance media that were coming to Lugano to discuss this. So presumably the public interest will also follow that. Is that fair to say, Pietro? I mean, you're the head of the economic division here. How's it been for you since this bizarre ruling?
Well, this happened literally a few days ago. I would say more generally that the launch of Plan B in March of 2022 was a turning point, I believe, right? That helped putting Lugano on the world map when it comes, of course, to Bitcoin, when it comes to blockchain, when it comes, more broadly speaking, to innovation. It wasn't the case before. That has attracted a lot, or has generated a lot of interest toward Lugano by individuals, by companies, obviously by media as well.
Okay, and so where are we in 2024? The program's been going for a couple of years now. I think Paolo had a pinned tweet on his profile for a while that was the espresso paid for with Bitcoin and de facto legal tender in Lugano. I've felt this change over the past couple of years as I've been coming to Lugano since the first conference, and I attended a summer school here as well. But what can you tell me concretely behind the scenes that you're working on and that perhaps you've hit in terms of milestones? I'll go back to you, Pietro, if that's okay.
When we announced the Plan B as a public-private partnership between the municipality of Lugano and Tether in March of 2022, in this very room, we presented a memorandum that sets out a number of goals, a number of objectives. Now, today, I believe it's a good opportunity to take stock a little bit of what has been accomplished, what remains to be done. If we start from what probably caught most of the attention, which was our de facto legal tender, right? And people asked, explain me what the de facto legal tender is. That really made the headlines worldwide, I would say. Where are we today with that? Well, the de facto legal tender has two components, of course. Let's not forget that we are discussing this at municipal level. Lugano is not a state, it's not a country, it's a municipality. We came a long way, I believe. On the private sector side, the acceptance of Bitcoin, USDT, as well as our local payment token, Luga, is more and more popular, is more and more widespread. We have over 400 economic activities throughout the city that accept routinely on a daily basis this payment option, let's say. So in this respect, the private part of the legal tender has progressed a lot. Of course, it's something that happens over time, step by step, but the numbers are very encouraging. On the public sector side, the de facto legal tender implied the municipality accepting payments in Bitcoin and USDT. And this was or finally materialized at the end of last year in 2023 when our financial services division implemented full, unlimited and automatic, so very smooth payment in BTC and USDT for any invoice issued by the municipality. So this ultimately happened, started happening in December, and if we look back in a handful of months, we've had, I believe, about 500,000 equivalent Swiss francs in payments in those two currencies.
Gosh.
Which is, again, quite encouraging as a first step.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I never thought that I would be on stage at a Bitcoin conference applauding a tax collection in Bitcoin, but there you go. But you know, not only are people paying their taxes, which you absolutely should do not be stupid about it, but they're also paying it in Bitcoin or what is the, it's not the state, sorry, what is Lugano doing with that money that it receives in Bitcoin? Is it able to hodl it? Should I now applaud the fact that Lugano is hodling Bitcoin?
Hold on. We very much believe in a step-by-step approach, right? This should be done in a progressive way. What we've done so far is already quite a lot. I believe that at least in Switzerland, Lugano is in a unique position. Other cities, other cantons accept to some extent payments in Bitcoins, for instance, but not in an unlimited way and not for any invoice issued, which includes, of course, taxes, but it's literally anything that the municipality is asking their citizens, which means companies and individuals, to pay.
So what could this be if it's anything?
Anything. You want to rent, I'll give you an example. Do you want to rent this building, this room for an event, for a private event? The municipality issues an invoice. You can pay it in Swiss francs, you can pay cash, you can pay with a bank wire, you can pay in Bitcoin or USDT. So we believe that that was an important first step. Currently, the amounts that the municipality collects are exchanged into Swiss francs.
Right.
There may be, of course, a second step going forward, but for the time being, that's how we do it.
Interesting. Yeah. So I guess they're immediately cashing out. Yeah, I was going to go to Michele.
Ma è la legge attuale che non ci permette di tenere i bitcoin, quindi dobbiamo cambiarli in franchi. Speriamo che cambino la legge in modo da poter fare una tesoreria in bitcoin anche a città.
Okay. And so, I mean,
che ci avremmo guadagnato qualcosina, tra l'altro.
I wonder if, given what's taking place in the United States in a week's time, and that one of the candidates is very pro-Bitcoin, the other candidate is going to print lots of money, well, they're both going to print lots of money. To what extent is Trump's noises about we're going to create a strategic reserve for Bitcoin, to what extent is that influencing the European conversation about states and cantons holding Bitcoin? And so would that be what you were mentioning there, Pietro, the second step? Is that what you mean, that maybe in a year's time, particularly in light of the US election, will Lugano be able to actually hodl some of that Bitcoin rather than instantly cashing out? What do you think, Michele?
Ma non lo so. Cioè, io credo che l'Europa è un paese non abbastanza liberale per poter accettare di usare Bitcoin e non credo che le politiche europee andranno in questa direzione indipendentemente da chi vincerà le elezioni negli Stati Uniti. Quindi sono molto scettico su questo.
Sono molto
skeptical.
Skeptical. Got it. Okay.
Also, there is a huge difference between Europe and Switzerland.
Yes.
And like you might have seen the ECB new paper
Yeah.
about Bitcoin. So it's not boiling the oceans anymore, but is a very unfair currency, seems like.
Yeah.
And so feels like again, going back to even Denmark, or there are voices that in Denmark they want suddenly to implement a 42% tax. Seems like governments are liking the 42% number for some reason. What? And also on unrealized P&L on Bitcoin. So, but again, if you instead use the banks, then everything's fine and you pay the normal taxes. So I think that luckily we are here in Switzerland. You know, it's a good showcase for the rest of the world on how a liberal place should work. Mm-hmm. And you know, I think that eventually, even if we with the U.S. election, hopefully we'll see more push towards using Bitcoin as a reserve currency, as you would use gold. Like central banks are accruing gold. There's no reason why they shouldn't start accruing Bitcoins. And so, but it's more likely that Switzerland does it before Europe. I mean, Europe will be the last in the world. Yeah, I guarantee you that.
The last.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. To your point about the sort of the tech cabals that we see ourselves faced with now, I know that you've been trying to de-Google yourself recently. Does this sort of fall under the same sort of parameters? The idea that fighting the banks, also fighting big tech, trying to provide more peer-to-peer services. Paolo, it is not necessarily related to Lugano. I'm just interested in the moment.
Well, actually, I think I'm not necessarily fighting the banks. I think that, I remember when I was young, come from a small town, my grandparents trusted three people, basically: the priest, right, the doctor, and the banker. Like, in a way, I think that the banker should go back to be the banker of the old times, like the right interaction with the person. I think that we cannot, as Bitcoiners, we cannot pretend that everyone has our understanding, also all the time that we have in understanding the technology and experimenting with it and understanding like private keys and so on, right? So I think that having people on the ground and institutions that can infer trust is still very important, right? So we are society. Society was born to be peer-to-peer, but with social interaction among people, right? That's actually what I like here in Lugano. By the way, I want to have a big round of applause for Michele, that was elected again this year as the mayor. I think that in part also hopefully for the Plan B. I think that Lugano is becoming this huge showcase in the world for not only, having 350 merchants, that is very important, taxes being paid in Bitcoin. All these are very important because you prove that this digital thing can also be applied to a physical territory. And so that's exactly what we wanted to have here in Lugano. But it's more what I think that we are going to talk a little bit later about that, but the aim with Lugano is actually showcasing how Bitcoin is not only bringing financial freedom, but also is bringing, more importantly, independence, right? The concept of independence and resilience that should start from, the single person to your own family, and then grow to your own community, your own city, canton, country, state, whatever, right? So start from the bottom and goes up. So. And I think Lugano is the right size to start, experimenting this concept. Like we talk about the cities of the future. The cities of the future should not have two, AI-driven LEDs that turn on when the sun is going down. Like that is not the city of the future. That is like a scummy way to sell some technology that exists since 30 years. The city of the future should be the society of the future as well. Like, where the city is resilient, is almost independent, is almost self-sufficient. It's not easy, of course, to achieve that. It's almost an utopia. But I think that already starting from the monetary point of view and the inclusion of different currencies as Bitcoin, but also thinking about technology as a core part of the city life is very, very important.
Yeah, no, great answer. Do you still trust your priest, though?
Don't ask me. I reserve the right to not answer.
Okay, got it. Michele, let's come back to you. And I mean, 3 years ago, when you ran with this Lugano Plan B initiative, it was to some extent risky, right? You know, the Bitcoin price was a lot lower, the Bitcoin interest was to some extent critical, and the overall sort of sentiment towards Bitcoin in the mainstream media world was perhaps a bit lacking. You know, Pietro just mentioned the word taking stock here. If you look back at your Lugano Plan B 3 years ago to Lugano Plan B now, how do you feel that the public conversation around Lugano and Bitcoin, how do you think that public conversation has evolved?
C'è stato un cambiamento enorme. Ricordiamoci che 3 anni fa, quando siamo partiti, Bitcoin era poco conosciuto. Era conosciuto solo dagli addetti, era qualcosa di estremamente esotico, non si capiva come poteva esserci qualcosa che non era controllato da una banca centrale o da un organismo, e quindi c'era grandissima diffidenza. Siamo stati aspramente criticati per la scelta che avevamo fatto con Paolo e con Tether quel 3 di marzo, ma piano piano la gente ha iniziato a capire cos'è Bitcoin. Poi è chiaro, quest'anno con gli ETF, con Bitcoin che si è rivalutato, sono nati tantissimi esperti di Bitcoin e tantissimi adepti di Bitcoin, che però secondo me ancora non hanno capito bene cosa c'è dietro Bitcoin e cosa c'è dietro questa tecnologia. Però il successo che ha avuto Bitcoin in questi ultimi 3 anni ci ha aiutati a far capire che cos'è Plan B e cosa sono le potenzialità di questo Plan B. Come ben ha detto Paolo, non è soltanto una questione di libertà finanziaria. Io credo che sia soprattutto una questione di libertà individuale, perché dietro tutto questo c'è la volontà di non essere controllati da qualcuno, c'è la volontà di poter verificare da soli le cose, e credo che questo sia nello più naturale spirito di questa città e di questa nazione. Tornando a prima domanda sull'Europa, io sono contento che la Svizzera non sia nell'Unione Europea.
Very good. Yeah, you speak like a Bitcoiner, right? Given, I understood, again, half of that, but the half I understood was very positive and talking a lot about successes, and given your re-election as well, presumably there are other cities, other cantons around Switzerland that are looking at not just your success, but Lugano's success and thinking, how could we emulate that? What could we copy? What could we steal? Which places in Switzerland are looking at Lugano more closely? Could you give us an insight into those conversations or into those developments?
Ma più o meno in Svizzera sono tutti abbastanza interessati a quello che è capitato a Lugano, ma come diceva Pietro prima, ci sono anche altre città che accettano pagamenti in Bitcoin, penso anche non solo Zugo, ma anche Zermatt, ma anche altre. Ci sono cantoni che hanno messo in piedi progetti legati a blockchain e alle cripto, penso Cantone Châtel, chiaramente Zugo con la Crypto Valley, ma anche Ginevra si sta muovendo. E nel resto del mondo ci sono diverse città che sono interessati al nostro Plan B, legato soprattutto ai Luga e al sistema di cashback. Il problema spesso è che le loro legislazioni nazionali non permettono a una città di battere moneta, tra virgolette, ma di creare uno stablecoin che può essere commerciato e venduto. L'altra questione, l'avete detto prima, cioè in certi paesi pagare con Bitcoin crea una plusvalenza sulla quale dovresti calcolare qual è la plusvalenza e pagare un'imposta. Il fatto che da noi non ci sia questa plusvalenza permette di pagare Bitcoin senza nessunissimo problema. Quindi poi Pietro sarà più preciso su chi, ma mi ricordo che 2 anni fa al forum era presente il vice sindaco di Ibiza che voleva introdurre questo sistema su tutte le loro isole, ma poi non è riuscito per una questione di regolamentatore del mercato finanziario spagnolo.
Okay. Anything to add to that, Pietro?
The interest is there. We regularly receive requests. Mainly is about explaining our experience, the challenges that we have faced, what it means particularly for a small administration, right? Let's not forget that Lugano is a small administration. Yeah. So again, it's not a state, it's not a country. So what it means in terms of resources, what it means in terms of manpower, what it means in terms of citizens' participation. and what is the impact? What have been the benefits since you launched Plan B? And we can measure them in terms of course, companies that have moved to the city or to the region, visibility, of course, that is also very important. I would also not underestimate the interest of academia. We have seen that in the last few months. I believe there are currently 3 or 4 papers by Swiss or foreign academic institutions that are being prepared about Plan B, about the Plan B experience and or the local payment token. And I believe that when those topics are discussed also in academic circles, then you can have a multiplying effect, of course.
Right.
So we are always very happy to share what our experience has been so far with third parties, and the interest is there, yes.
Okay, super.
Credo che il segreto del Plan B è aver trovato un partner affidabile come Tether e 2 persone come Paolo e Giancarlo, con le quali basta una stretta di mano per trovare un accordo e portare avanti i progetti. Questo è il vero segreto dei Plan B, sono le persone che hanno fatto Plan B.
Grazie.
Okay. That one I got. The secret sauce is the people. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, I asked...
Your Italian is better than my English.
Oh, no. No, you took off your translator. That's how good it's got. Earlier, I asked everyone who's Italian, who's Swiss. I forgot to ask who is kind of interested or testing the waters with moving to Lugano, whether it's yourself or your business. Raise your hand if you're sort of keen. That is 25 people. Pietro, you're going to be a busy man.
We will have, let me announce a dedicated session on entrepreneurs that are considering Lugano tomorrow here at Plan B Forum, tomorrow at 11:15. The session is led by a colleague of mine, Brandon, I believe is in the room, and we will have 4 or 5 testimonials by companies from different continents that have moved to Lugano.
Okay.
And those who are interested can attend that session and ask their questions.
Interesting.
Happy to support and assist.
I mean, we're going to hear first-hand testimonial evidence of moving to Lugano, but I'm quite surprised and impressed to see 25 people or so just in this room considering it. How easy is it to move to Lugano? Like, Paolo, what was your experience like? Is it very easy as an Italian to move across the?
Yeah, I would say, well, first of all, here we are speaking Italian as a main language.
True.
So that makes it much easier. And second, I think that the beauty of Lugano is that has, apart today and the last week, maybe the Italian weather. Also in Italy has been terrible, the weather, to be fair. So, but good food and Swiss taxis, that helps. And things work. Things work well. The support of the administration, the institution, the organization of any office, that could be public sector office or private sector office, it's very, very efficient, right? It's classic, like there are memes on Swiss efficiency, and I can feel that, especially coming from Italy. You can imagine the difference. And but I think the most important thing here that I like is the fact that the administration supports innovation, supports the dialogue with universities. The level of bureaucracy is quite low. Okay. That is also important. You want, especially when you move to a new place, you want to be able to settle, start, maybe your business, and be part of the local environment. And here is fairly easy. I mean, I came from before actually moving here. I came from London, and so I could experience. Well, I don't want to talk bad about.
No, do. It's cathartic. It makes me feel better. Pietro, so yes. You're now going to be apparently quite busy. You mentioned the talk tomorrow at 11:15, was it?
11:15.
11:15, fantastic. So yeah, I guess with an EU passport, it's presumably a lot easier to move here, but are you getting international interest as well? Economic stability and uncertainty is not just affecting Europe, it's affecting, the wider world.
Absolutely. Of course, there are some additional or some extra obstacles, let's say, if you are a non-EU or non-EFTA national. Okay. Consider that Lugano has, I believe, 140 different nationalities. So, and they are not all, of course, EU member states people. Mm-hmm. So it's a very international place. There are some restrictions when it comes to employees from non-EU, non-EFTA states, mm-hmm. but with the right under the right conditions, they can be overcome quite easily, particularly in sectors that add a lot of value, and tech, of course, is one of those. So again, I encourage you to attend the session, get in touch with our office if you want to know more about the steps that need to be undertaken to move into Lugano.
Okay, fantastic. We're coming to the last 10 minutes of the panel discussion this morning. I wanted to just focus on a few of the milestones you've hit in this past year, as I think there's a few sort of mini announcements that have been made in the past 6 months or so before we come to looking at the future. I still haven't seen this POW, or the Proof of Work Hub, yet. What is this place? What's it like? What's the point of it? Maybe I'll go to Paolo. Is this your new office?
Huh?
Is this your new office?
I travel all the time, but that was going to be my new preferred location here in Lugano, apart Gabbani's restaurant, as everyone knows now. So the beauty of the hub is that, first of all, is a place, as a physical place. You know, we tend to live too much in a digital form nowadays, so we need a point of aggregation, point where people can find others that maybe have different experiences, or they can share, you know, knowledge. The design is incredible. Satoshi Galler Valentina took care of you know, the paintings, and all the design is incredible. Oh, wow. It's just stunning. Then we are going to have, yesterday we have the first sessions of small panels, side events. So we are testing it. The office space and the ability to rent the working space or the office space is already available on the website of the hub, pow.space. So you will find, you can ask any questions on pricing, on the facilities that we have. We are going to have a great gym, you know, all Bitcoin themed, including the gym. We're going to soon have also a restaurant that
steak only.
Yeah, Proof of Steak.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yes, it's going to be called Proof of Steak.
They write themselves, don't they? Okay, yeah.
Yes. You know, we have to show our commitment to the, you know, and make fun of it here. So.
Yes, yeah. No, I'm not a vegetarian anymore. It's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We can hang out.
Yes, exactly. You know, it will be carnivore first, of course. The rest.
Okay, and the gym is also a boxing ring as well, right? Is that right?
The gym is basically almost done, so it should open very, very soon. It's available for all the people that are part of the co-working space and the office space and are renting the offices. Then, of course, the hub will be also a point of aggregation, and you know, we plan to have periodic events like weekly events, have seminars, inviting the 3 universities. So it's really should be the center for the Plan B in Lugano and in all Ticino. That is the main idea, and potentially also North Italy. Awesome. On top of that, we have we realized, and we finally launched the foundation that we announced last year. Mm-hmm. So the foundation has been finalized and is already operative. So that is a great point, because you know it's important, as Michele said, that the initiative started from the public and private sector, but it's not just about us, right? It is a community-driven effort, and so we want to invite more people, more companies in this effort.
Yeah.
Then we had the Plan B, the B4B school as another educational initiative. So it is targeting more professionals. So sometimes, like, this event is more for communities, more for everyone actually, but we want also to have lawyers, accountants, and everyone understanding how Bitcoin and digital assets can be used in their profession. So we have specific courses that are run for professionals. There is the Plan B Network initiative, led by Giacomo Zucco. That is also been amazing. Is creating huge interest, and you know, Giacomo and Rosie are doing a great job on driving that effort. We have the Plan B funds, so finally the fund structure has been finalized, and I think that, I don't want to spoiler anything. There is Oleg from Fulgur, and you know, manager also the Plan B funds, is going to have a talk today announcing the first investments and describing and explaining how other companies can apply to the Plan B funds. So, you know, sometimes things take time to develop. We announced the Plan B initiative in March 2022 with a very ambitious goal. Was a 4-year letter of intent, and I think that now we are 2 years and a half after, and we basically completed all the different steps that we promised, and so we need to start looking at the future and where we want to go and how we want to grow.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah. No. It's. I mean, maybe a round of applause there, actually. And yes, Oleg is on the main stage here, or the WAGMI stage. Sorry, this afternoon. I think it's about 3 p.m. But do check your planning. We'll hear all about the the Plan B Foundation. Now, yeah, you mentioned that you completed all these milestones. So, I mean, I was sort of asking this of you yesterday, Pietro, on the phone when we were planning for this panel. Like, at what point does the Lugano's Plan B just forget the Plan B and just become Lugano? Is it when every merchant in Lugano accepts Bitcoin and they're also hodling it as well? They're not just cashing it out. Does every Lugano resident have to have a Lightning wallet? Where does this all lead to? Say 5 years down the road from here, because the progress is crazy, particularly when you go from somewhere like Lugano back to Milan, or from Lugano to like Paris, and you're like, oh, well, no one accepts Bitcoin, no one knows what it is, and here there are giant Bitcoin bees in the sky. So yeah, Pietro, where is this all going?
Right. I believe that Plan B is much more than what we've seen so far. Ultimately, it's about innovation, and we can decline that word in many different ways, of course. Yep. Let's not forget that innovation is one of the main guiding principles, let's say, of the city of Lugano, as per its municipal guidelines. I believe on this point we should hear the mayor on what the future of Plan B might be.
Okay.
No, è vero, siamo quasi alla fine della durata della lettera di intenti che abbiamo sottoscritto nel 22, manca un anno e un po'. E con Paolo stiamo iniziando a pensare, a discutere cosa può essere il futuro della seconda lettera di intenti, perché c'è la volontà di continuare con Tether questo percorso che ci ha portati fin qui, e credo che l'importante sia essere curiosi, capire quali sono le nuove tecnologie, dove c'è potenziale di crescita e quali sono i settori che potranno essere interessanti e portare valore aggiunto soprattutto ai nostri giovani, grazie al contributo di tanti professionisti ed esperti come quello che abbiamo potuto ricevere per quanto concerne blockchain. Quindi ci sono tutta una serie di settori che stiamo esplorando, e penso che il 3 marzo dell'anno prossimo, per il 4º anno del Plan B, penso che in quella data riusciremo a presentare la seconda parte del Plan B per i successivi 4 anni.
Yeah, I think Plan B is an interesting name, right? So it means like, you are creating an optionality to the Plan A. I think many of people in this room, or surely many people that I'm talking to, are sharing concerns about the next few years of when it comes to geopolitical issues or stability, global stability, and so on. So I think I will use one of my preferred phrases from Joker. Like, it's not, Plan B is not about the money, as in a currency, but it's about sending a message.
Right.
And so what is the message is that what we are trying to, so what also Bitcoin is more than just a currency, but is a state of mind, is a way to live your life, a way to understand that, you can have something in your life that is certain. And to me, Bitcoin is that thing that is certain because it's governed by math, right? So in life you have many uncertain things, like you can control very, very few things, right? Because it's all dependent from so many different variables. But even physics is a little bit uncertain because, quantum physics or general relativity, who knows, right? So we didn't have yet, we are still too small and too dumb to understand the complexity of physics, but math is something that you can prove, and that's why what Bitcoin is bringing, right, is money governed by math. But on top of that, we can, if we take this, the example of Bitcoin, I think we can apply to different things like in technology, right? Peer-to-peer communications, you can have education, resilient peer-to-peer communication, resilient, a resilient city, like a city that cuts the intermediaries, the unnecessary intermediaries for, even its own internal society, right? So, in my opinion, Plan B and what we want to do is to explore different type of technologies that can be applied to a physical city and bring here all the talent to build the best technology that can serve to humanity to help people and communities and families and cities and countries to become more independent, more resilient, more disintermediated from the world. And of course, still be part of the society of the world, but in order to be yourself and your self-being, you need to be fully you as a single person or a single family without having to depend for every single thing from everyone else, right? So that's the beauty of Bitcoin. You can keep it with yourself on your phone, and that should apply to everything. And then I think that Lugano is the perfect place where we can experiment all that.
Well said. Yeah, fantastic. Gentlemen, we are sadly out of time. Is there anything you'd like to say before we wrap up here? Perhaps your favorite place to spend Satoshis in Lugano?
Divertitevi e godetevi Lugano.
Fantastic. Please give it up for our panelists today, Paolo, Pietro, Michele. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Can I shake your hand?
Grazie.
Thank you. Well done. Thank you. Well done. Thank you, Paolo. That was really great. Thank you.